You don't need to pretend to be strong. What you truly need is a steady, calm mind, like the ocean at dawn, unshaken by the winds of criticism, undestroyed by the disappointments of the road, and undistracted by the temptations of passing desires. When you cultivate this kind of mind, your mere presence becomes stronger than any speech. You radiate an inexplicable aura and command respect without uttering a word. This isn't fleeting strength. It's an ancient lineage of resilience forged by time in the hearts of warriors, emperors, and souls unbroken by life's chaos. What united them wasn't luck but the philosophy of Stoicism, not just beautiful words to quote, but real tools tested in the fires of reality for those who seek to reclaim control of themselves, master their emotions, craft their discipline, and see truth in its purest clarity without falling into the traps of manipulation or pain. If you feel exhausted by chaos and are ready to become stronger than ever, watch this video to the end. Stoicism might be what you've been searching for your entire life. 1. Growth comes in solitude. Yes, if you want a mind so steadfast it unsettles others, prepare for an emotional void unlike any other. Not because you've failed, but because you're finally being true to yourself. You stop pleasing the world, wearing masks that aren't you, attending events that suffocate rather than delight. You start questioning what you once followed blindly, and from that moment, you're no longer ordinary. This change confuses them because every step you take toward the light exposes the shadows in their own lives. When you quit bad habits, they feel judged. When you stay silent as they gossip, you're labeled odd. But you've hurt no one. You've simply refused to be a copy of them. Be honest with yourself. Isn't it exhausting to keep acting? To fake enthusiasm for things that don't matter, to laugh while your heart is weary? You're not cold. You've just stopped playing a guest role in a story that isn't yours. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We always have the power to live a good life if we ignore what's worthless." A good life isn't measured by the crowd around you, but by your freedom from needing them. People don't fear your solitude. They fear what your silence reflects about them. This is where true skill begins, to walk alone without losing your way. No book or teacher can give you this. It's the real path to building an unshakable mind. The moments when no one understands you or applauds you are the moments that forge the strongest men. Imagine yourself alone in an empty room. No phone, no sound, no light. Just you and your thoughts. Can you bear this silence, or will you rush to fill it to escape? If you don't learn to sit with yourself, you'll remain a slave to others' noise, forever needing validation. You'll never be free. Take Emily Dickinson. She never stepped into the world, yet her words outlived her. Tesla lived in isolation, but his ideas built the world we know today. They didn't blend in. They withdrew. And in their withdrawal, they found a clarity that can't be bought. Ask yourself now, am I ready to sit with myself? Turn off everything. Write without fear. What question am I too afraid to ask? Why do I need others' applause to feel alive? Solitude isn't punishment, it's your beginning. It's where you test your resilience. When you can stand alone without crumbling, everything else becomes mere noise. Rejection, failure, mockery, they all shrink before your confident silence. And when you return from solitude with an unshakable mind, people won't admire you. They'll worry, because they'll know you're no longer a follower. You can't be easily subdued. 2. Change terrifies others. The first to leave after your transformation may be the first who once cheered you. Even small changes, thinking deeply, rejecting mindless actions, sharing an honest thought, can unsettle those around you. Not because you're wrong, but because you unintentionally expose their stagnation. Humans naturally resent seeing in you what they've failed to achieve. When you read, "Stay silent, take responsibility," you won't get praise but sarcasm. Oh, the wise one, the philosopher, and or worse, silence. Not because you're unimportant, but because they can't keep up. Quiet growth unsettles like lighting a lamp in a dark room. You say nothing, but everything is revealed. And that light is painful to those accustomed to darkness. Psychology calls this herd mentality, agreeing externally just to stay comfortable. But when you break this pattern, you become a threat. You challenge a system they've accepted, even if it doesn't satisfy them. Why was Socrates executed? Not for corrupting youth, but for making them think. For forcing authority to face itself. He raised no sword, just questions, and that alone terrified them. Malcolm X too was branded a traitor by his closest allies when his vision expanded to embrace all humanity. Real growth distances you from your old tribe. Ask yourself, how often have I held back my growth to avoid disturbing others? How often have I hidden parts of myself for acceptance? The truth no one tells you. Those you please today may not stand by you tomorrow. Your strength is internal. Even if built alone, it's what will keep you standing. Don't turn back because others haven't caught up. True growth means leaving shadows behind. If you feel alone, remember Marcus Aurelius. The goal isn't to be with the majority, but to avoid joining the madness. When your growth unsettles others, don't over-explain, don't seek validation, don't compromise. Just stay silent and keep moving. Change needs no justification, its results speak. Exercise, write down 3 changes you're making now and 3 negative reactions you've faced. Then ask, would I respect myself more if I retreated? The answer will be clear. Strong men don't avoid resistance. They persist despite it. Not everyone is ready to grow, but you don't need permission. 3. Abandon the need for approval. Deep down, everyone fears what they can't control, and intellectual freedom unsettles them. A mind that seeks no permission or applause is unpredictable. That's why it scares them. It doesn't bow to their unspoken rules. When you stop living for validation, you step out of a familiar mold, a step most can't tolerate. Not because you've hurt anyone, but because your existence awakens questions they've long ignored. Nietzsche called such people higher men, those who rise above herd morality and create their own values. They don't ask, will they allow me? But does this befit me? Just as a climber doesn't take advice from those who never left the valley, the strong don't wait for the weak's permission to begin. They've left the land of the accepted and entered authenticity with no return. Have you ever hesitated because someone disliked your actions? Deleted a post fearing it wouldn't impress? The truth isn't about how often you've silenced yourself, but who you're giving your life to. If you constantly need others to acknowledge you, you're no longer steering your ship. You're a shadow wearing the mask of independence. The Stoics put it simply, if you want to grow, prepare to be seen as a fool. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones, but in places of misunderstanding and ridicule. Every step taken without approval brings you closer to freedom, but don't expect applause. The more you prove freedom possible, the more others feel exposed by their own cowardice. They'll try to drag you down with pity disguised as advice or mockery, not because they hate you, but because your unwavering presence weakens their sense of self. Galileo's truth, "The Earth orbits the sun," wasn't met with cheers. Rosa Parks shook a nation's conscience by refusing to give up her seat. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's a quiet, unyielding calm. Try this. Eat alone in your usual spot. No phone, no headphones, no pretense of busyness. Just you and silence. The anxiety you feel isn't loneliness, but fear of being seen without company. Push through it and you'll taste a rare flavor, peace. Ask yourself, if no one saw me, would my actions still matter? If the answer is no, you're acting, not living. Like planting a field not for harvest, but for likes. The Bible says, "Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." You don't need to fight the world, just the courage to live differently. It starts the moment you abandon the need for applause. If you truly want a mind that awakens others, don't import values, create them. Don't wait for permission. Let every action answer one question. Does this bring me closer to who I aspire to be? When you learn to stand tall without needing applause, you won't just be influential. You'll be free. 4. True strength starts by facing pain, not denying it. How do you build a mind so solid that your mere presence unsettles others? The answer isn't in comforting slogans like "be kind to yourself" or "everything will be okay." These numb pain, they don't heal it. The truth? A strong mind is forged when you have no refuge but yourself in the heart of chaos. When sleep abandons you and memories gnaw at you. There, an unbreakable version of you is formed. But be honest. How often have you chosen escape over confrontation? How many times has running away taken you deeper than the pain itself? We don't break from pain, but from our desperate attempts to ignore it. Pain, at its core, is the raw material that reshapes us, if we stop burying it and sit with it. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "Man can endure any how if he has a why." This isn't poetry, it's a survival map. Ask yourself, am I running from my suffering or am I understanding it? Here's a story. James lost his son in a tragic accident. He chose silence and buried his grief in work. But the more he ran, the deeper the pain grew. The moment he saw his son's old shoes was his breaking point and his beginning. He cried, wrote letters to his son daily, and a year later compiled them into a book that helped thousands of grieving fathers. Pain didn't kill him, it reshaped him. Your story may not be as tragic, but you have wounds. Don't escape them, sit with them. Start your day with a simple question. What pain am I trying to bury? Write it, not to drown in it, but to decode it. Then ask, what can I learn from this? Real strength isn't pretending you're fine. It's looking your agony in the eye and saying, "Hakudil, I'm still here." As coal becomes diamond under pressure, your mind is shaped by shocks. Seneca said, "No gem can be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trials." Pause now and ask, how many opportunities have I wasted to avoid pain? How many dreams have I buried fearing I'd feel too much? Rewrite a painful experience, not as a victim, but a survivor. The story you tell yourself defines the mind you possess. A strong mind isn't born, it's made from failure, loss, and pain. While the world retreats, you advance. While others crumble, you take shape. And that's when you unsettle them, not because you don't feel pain, but because you don't shatter. 5. Non-reaction. Many of our sharp reactions come from the illusion that we control things never truly ours. Others' words, behaviors, opinions, even external events. The painful truth? We control nothing but our response. Reactive impulses are desperate attempts to seize control from chaos. But the only thing we truly own is how we respond. We can choose calm, silence, observation. The rest belongs to life, others the world. Epictetus said, "If someone angers you, know that your mind complicit in it." When you lose your cool, you've handed someone the keys to your mind. Worse, they need only a word or a look to toy with you. Non-reaction isn't weakness, it's awareness that some things aren't worth sacrificing your peace for. You're not obliged to respond every time or win every debate. The real victor walks away without losing themselves. Here's a story. Andrew, a high school teacher with no wealth or power, earned his students' respect through steadiness, not sternness. One day, a parent stormed in, accusing him of bias, screaming loud enough to echo through nearby classrooms. Andrew didn't yell, explain, or justify. He just watched calmly. When the parent exhausted himself, Andrew said quietly, "I understand your concern. I'll file a report as needed." His silence spoke louder than any defense. The entire staff stood by him because when a man is unshaken, his actions resonate beyond words. This is true power. Non-reaction isn't forgiveness. It's protecting your energy from waste. Like a building unshaken by an earthquake, you don't need to declare strength, it's felt. Start small. A random online argument, someone cutting in line, a provoking comment. Don't respond. Just watch yourself. Your silence will be a deafening sound, forcing others to face their own noise alone. Nietzsche warned, "Whoever fights monsters must take care not to become a monster." Every time you react as others want, you let them shape you. The greatest danger? You won't even notice. Because reactions often feel justified, like defending dignity or justice. But in truth, you're dragged into an arena where you don't make the rules. A strong mind isn't measured by who wins debates, but by who doesn't need them. It doesn't raise its voice to be heard because it knows its worth is indisputable. When you stop reacting, you start living by your standards, not theirs. Then no one can manipulate you, not with words, looks, or even heavy silence. If you aspire to build an unshakable mind, leave a comment. Silence is power. Begin the journey of change. Live as though nothing can pull you from yourself, because that's how you become someone respected without shouting, reckoned with without speaking. 6. Own your life completely. You don't need to scream to be respected. Sometimes standing firm while everyone else trembles is enough. In a world fueled by reactions, the most feared person is the one who pauses to think before moving. But that power begins when you accept the hardest truth. No one is responsible for your life but you. Stoicism repeats a key term, logos, the rational order behind everything. You may not like this order, but it doesn't bend to your whims. Yet logos isn't a prison. It's the frame, and you decide how to write your story within it. You might lose your job, be betrayed by someone you trusted, or be misunderstood. That's life's role. Your role is how you respond. That response is your silent declaration of who you are. Many confuse faith with surrender. They think a good life means one without hardship. But true maturity starts when you ask, if no one helps me, how far can I take myself? When you stop blaming the external and start working on the internal, the entire equation changes. When Nietzsche declared God is dead, he wasn't celebrating, he was warning. In his view, the death of God meant the collapse of all external moral systems, no ready-made rules, no fate, no higher power defining right or wrong for you. You take the wheel, you bear the impact. If you fail, it's on you. This solitude might feel suffocating, but it's also purifying. Sartre went further. No man is condemned to be free. Condemned? Yes, because freedom is a burden. Without external guidance, every decision becomes pivotal, every consequence yours alone. No room to blame parents, society, or circumstances. Your freedom is a right, but also a responsibility. You can write a new chapter, but you forfeit the right to complain if you don't like the story. Does this feel heavy? Good. It should. This is the price of true freedom. And if you have the courage to pay it, you'll become someone others can't easily label, unswayed by praise, unshaken by rejection, unmanipulated. Where to start? Stop making excuses. I'm a victim of my childhood society misunderstanding. You're not. You chose this path and you can choose another. Exercise. Before bed, don't ask, who angered me today? Ask, what responsibility did I avoid today? Write it down, not to guilt yourself, but to take a different step tomorrow. A small but steady step can alter your destiny. A strong mind doesn't have all the answers. It has the courage to bear responsibility even when it doesn't. If you're still here, pause for 3 seconds, breathe. Look around. You've already proven something profound. You can control yourself even mid-video. That is strength. If this resonated, hit like. Not for me, but as a silent signature on your decision to stop playing the victim. Don't miss the next part. Every second you spend here crafts a mind the world must reckon with. 7. Prepare for the worst. Not because you're negative, but because you refuse to live in delusion. Those braced for disaster aren't shaken by surprises. This is why strong minds terrify others. They don't collapse when the unexpected strikes. They expected it. Ever seen someone remain still amid chaos? That's not indifference, it's deep philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The wise see in others' misfortunes what they must prepare for." The strong learn not just from their own experiences, but from others. They don't wait for disaster to build defenses. Howard Marks, one of Wall Street's sharpest minds, said, "Risk is what's left after you think you've thought of everything." Imagining the worst isn't pessimism. It's understanding that surprises, not failures, are what kill. When was the last time you considered worst-case scenarios? When did you last curse yourself for not being prepared? Practical exercise. At the end of each week, pick an area of your life, health, work, relationships, and write the worst that could happen. Then make a plan. If you can still breathe after this, you're building an unbreakable mind. People won't fear you because you're stronger, but because you're calmer in crisis. They'll watch you lose without crumbling, face what they dare not imagine. Remember Mike Tyson, he didn't speak or smile, he just stood there as if the fight had already played out 100 times in his mind. His power wasn't just physical, it was his history, his poverty, the pain that shaped him. Preparing for the worst doesn't make you harsh, it makes you flawless. While others flee from pain, you sit with it and ask, what do I need to learn from you? Before we close, ask, if I lost everything now, relationships, money, status, what would remain unshaken inside me? A strong mind doesn't need to scream or threaten, it just stands, silent, present, steady. That alone is enough to unsettle. In an age of fragility, stability is a miracle. 8. Critical thinking, the sharpest weapon. Free minds can't be stolen or faked. They're independent spirits that refuse to conform to the era's triviality, to canned responses, to prepackaged ideas. Critical thinking sets you apart, but it isn't innate. It's wrestled from an internal battlefield where you ask daily, why do I believe this? Who planted these thoughts? Is this truly my view, or just an echo? This is the fight between you as you are and you as you could be. Victory isn't measured by how many agree with you, but by the clarity you feel when refusing to swallow unexamined ideas. You don't need to dominate the world, just your response to it. To do that, you must rethink, dig deeper, question boldly. When someone says everyone does this, ask, who's everyone and why should I join them? When news floods in, don't react. Ask, what's not being said? We live in an age of information overload, yet how many truly think? We consume knowledge like fast food, quick, easy, empty. Then we wonder why we're confused. Strength isn't knowing everything. It's knowing what isn't worth believing, defending, or clinging to. Every time a comment stings, ask, why does this hurt? Every moment of anger, ask, am I defending truth or ego? When you start asking instead of reacting, you break free from others' control. Start simple. Each day, pick one belief about yourself, others, the world, and dissect it. When's the last time you genuinely changed your mind? If you can't remember, ask, am I living or replaying mental scripts? In conversations, listen to understand, not to attack. This is hard because truth doesn't flatter you. A strong mind doesn't waste energy on lost battles. Like a wise soldier, it knows when and where to fight. Critical thinking doesn't grant dominance over others, but immunity from manipulation. No one leads you by words or provokes you with silence. Ask yourself, how many of my beliefs did I create and how many were programmed into me? You can't always control circumstances, but you can control how you interpret them. Critical thinking doesn't make you cold, it makes you free. Unswayed by persuasion, unprovoked into reaction, you become the person no one knows how to influence. And that terrifies them. You don't need to shout to show strength. Think deeply, and your voice will sound different. A voice heard by all, even in silence. Final note. These 8 principles forge an unbreakable mind, one that doesn't need to prove itself with noise or action. Sometimes the strongest statement is nothing, just standing firm, confident, silent. True strength begins when you stop seeking approval and start seeking truth. When you realize no one is coming to save you. When you stop fleeing solitude and start conversing honestly with yourself. A strong mind isn't about control, it's about being uncontrollable. Knowing when to think, when to stay silent, when to act with clear intent. In an era where everyone screams, those who think deeply are heard. Rarity is power. If this video moved you, don't leave without hitting like. Write a comment. Which sentence stopped you and made you rethink? Share it with someone who needs it. If you're ready to strengthen your mind, subscribe. The next step goes deeper. Thank you. Until next time, keep your strength, your wisdom, and above all, your honesty with yourself. Good luck.